In the city that never sleeps, power changes hands every few years. But sometimes someone steps in who doesn't just want to run the system. He wants to change it. This is the story of Zohran Mamdani, the immigrant, the activist, the politician, and the new face of a restless generation demanding something different from New York City. Zohran Mamdani was born far away from the towers of Manhattan, in Kampala, Uganda. His story doesn't begin in the halls of government or the bright lights of campaign rallies. It begins in a family that knew struggle, migration, and the search for identity. His parents, both academics and thinkers, moved to the United States when Zohran was still a child. They settled in Queens, one of the most diverse places in the world, where more than 150 languages echo through the streets every single day. Growing up in Astoria, Zohran learned early that the city can lift you up or leave you behind. He saw the contrast between the wealthy and the working class, between the people who owned everything and those just trying to get by. These experiences shaped his belief that if the system isn't fair for everyone, it needs to be rebuilt. At Bowdoin College in Maine, Zohran studied Africana studies, diving deep into the history of oppression, resistance, and liberation. But his education wasn't just academic. It was personal. He began to see connections between the struggles of Black communities in America, the working class in New York, and his own immigrant background. He understood that the story of inequality isn't about one place. It's about how power works everywhere. After college, Zohran returned to New York, not to chase wealth, but to serve the people who made the city what it is. He worked as a housing counselor, helping families fight evictions and find homes they could actually afford. And it was in those crowded offices and broken apartments that he found his purpose to turn activism into action. In 2020, as the world faced a pandemic and protests filled the streets, Zohran made a bold move. He ran for office to represent the 36th district in the New York State Assembly. He wasn't backed by billionaires or corporations. He was backed by people, tenants, students, bus drivers, immigrants, all united by one simple idea: New York can do better. And in an upset that shocked the local establishment, Zohran Mamdani, a newcomer, a socialist, a man of the people, won. For the first time, Astoria had a representative who spoke like them, lived among them, and fought for them. Zohran's vision wasn't about politics as usual. He wanted a New York City where buses were free, rent was affordable, and public utilities were owned by the people, not private corporations. He called for housing justice, climate justice, and a government that listens, not just talks. His ideas were radical to some, but to others they were common sense. He spoke about fairness, about dignity, about creating a city that doesn't leave people behind. And soon, his message started to spread across boroughs, across generations, across party lines. But movements don't grow without resistance. As Zohran's voice grew louder, powerful forces began to push back. Real estate groups, corporate donors, and conservative media painted him as dangerous, even un-American. They questioned his loyalty, his experience, even his citizenship. Yet every time they attacked, something unexpected happened. His support grew stronger. Young people saw him as a symbol of hope, a reminder that politics could be about more than money and connections. They rallied behind him in parks, online, and at subway stations. To them, Zohran wasn't just another politician. He was one of them. Zohran Mamdani's identity has always been complex. African-born, South Asian, Muslim, and American. And in a city as diverse as New York, that mix is both his strength and his challenge. We spoke about international issues like Palestine and human rights. His words sparked heated debate. Supporters called him brave. Critics called him divisive. But through it all, Zohran stayed grounded, focused on the people of New York, not the noise of headlines. He once said, "My job is not to please the powerful, it's to represent the powerless." And that became the heartbeat of his movement. By 2025, the name Zohran Mamdani had become more than just a politician's name. It had become a statement. He launched a mayoral campaign with a message that electrified the city. A city for the many, not the few. His rallies looked different. More music, more youth, more hope. No luxury ballrooms. No corporate sponsors. Just New Yorkers, teachers, cab drivers, single mothers, construction workers, all demanding a city that works for them. But the higher you climb, the stronger the wind blows. His opponents unleashed attack ads. They called him a socialist threat, a radical, even tried to discredit his citizenship. Some lawmakers said he was too inexperienced. Others warned that his ideas would bankrupt the city. But for every criticism, Mamdani's team responded with something powerful: facts, compassion, and community support. He reminded people that free buses meant workers get to their jobs. Affordable housing meant families don't live in fear. Public power meant your bills go down, not up. It wasn't ideology, it was humanity. To millions of New Yorkers, Zohran Mamdani now represents something much bigger than a single campaign. He represents the possibility that government can serve people again. He represents the new face of American politics. Young, multicultural, unapologetically progressive. Someone who doesn't come from power, but fights to return it to where it belongs, the people. And whether you agree with him or not, one thing is clear. Zohran Mamdani has changed the conversation. In every generation, there comes a moment when the future begins to speak. And sometimes it speaks through a person, through their courage, their conviction, and their refusal to accept the world as it is. Zohran Mamdani's story is still being written. He is not just a politician. He's a mirror reflecting the city's deepest hopes and frustrations. And whether his journey leads to victory or defeat, one truth remains. He has already reshaped the imagination of New York. Because real change never begins with power. It begins with people. And people are listening.